Alright, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to go over how to set up a way to end the game. So all I'm going to do is duplicate this particular ramp piece. So I'm going to hold down Alt, so select it, hold down Alt, drag it off. This, I'm going to shorten it off under brush size. Let's drop it down to like maybe 1,000 units. Okay. Needs to be a bit longer than that, maybe 3,000 units. That way the player has a little bit of runoff space and can slow down. Now this I'm going to have it colored differently so we know it's the goal. So I'm going to come over to materials. I'll throw in a new material. I'll call this finish line, just to make it different, you know. Maybe it's blue. You can make an object to be here for your finish line. I'm not going to do that. Just throw that on there. Okay, so this is going to be the platform where I'm going to win the game. To do that, I need a volume. So I'm going to come over to the left here, grab my volume, and in here I'm going to scroll down to a trigger volume. So trigger volume, drag it in. And this is going to be, whenever I overlap this, the game's going to end. So I'm going to make sure that this is big enough so the player can enter it. So make sure it's good size. And it doesn't really matter how big it is, so long as the player can, of course, win when it touches this. If I were to make this too short, let's say the player had a lot of momentum and he ended up landing over here. If he's outside the boundary, he's not going to win. He's going to fall off the ramp and die. So we want to make sure that when we hit here that we end the game pretty quick. So make sure it's good size, and we don't have to worry about him being disappointed. Okay. You can be as precise as you like. I'm going to just move this here. And I really don't want the player to jump over this. So if you have a lot of momentum, you could jump over it. So I'm going to try to make this pretty high. And actually I can come down here to my brush settings, and because this does count as a BSP, I can type in some brush sizes. Now you'll see that because I was scaling this over here, it does have scales applied. When I try to adjust it here, it's going to be a little bit different. So let me try doing 10,000 units. Yeah, that's extra big. So let's do 5,000. But I don't want the player to win if he falls, so I'm going to make sure that he can't fall out of here and still win. So I'll just make sure it's high enough. So there's no way he could ever jump over that. That's cool. But he has to be in here. He can't be off to the side. He can't be underneath it. Right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this volume. Over here in details, I'm going to name it. I'm going to call this win. You can call it finish line or whatever you want. Sure, let's call it finish line. Finish line. Of course, we're saving stuff as we build. To get the player to talk to this, we're going to use a level blueprint. So I'm going to go up to the top under blueprints, come down to open the level blueprint. Open that. Every level has its own blueprint. So once we get in here, we'll have some setup stuff. So I don't really care about this stuff. We've got to nuke it. But we do want to make sure that we have, I'm going to have minimize this a little bit, make sure we have our finish line volume selected. I'm going to right click in here. I'm going to do on actor begin overlap. So the moment we overlap this actor, and you'll see it comes in with the finish line. So the moment we overlap this actor, we're going to do something. And that's going to be casting to the player. So cast to player. We only want this actor. So you can, of course, have this be the overlapped actor or whatever. I'm going to do other actor. And then we need to stop our movement. So I'm going to pull from the player and set my velocity. So set velocity. And we're looking for set physics linear velocity for the cube. There you go. Should come in with our cube. We're going to go ahead and plug that in. Now I'm just going to set this to 0 because we don't want this moving. And then after we stop the thing, we need to disable the movement. Because even though we set this to 0, it's not going to stay 0. As long as we're able to add input, it'll continue moving. So we need to disable input. So disable input. And when this comes in, it's going to ask you if you want to use the controller or the or a target. So I'm actually going to plug this from the player. Just plug that in. If you double click the line, it'll let you move it. So I'm going to just go ahead and move this down so you can see where this is. Okay, so my player is plugged into there. And that should give us the moment we hit this barrier. Where am I at? If I play from here, let's see how that goes. As soon as I hit that, it should disable my input. Yeah. So I can no longer move. Another thing we want to disable is the physics. So from the player, we're going to do set physics, set simulate physics cube. Pull that over here. Once physics is disabled, we'll just stop altogether. Let's get some momentum. Come on, there we go. Looks like the game froze, right? But that's fine. We're actually going to have a splash screen that pops up and says, hey, you know, the game has ended. So that'll work. To do a screen, the simplest way would be to create a new widget. So I'm going to right click and system here. So blueprints, system, go ahead and right click. User interface, let's grab a widget blueprint. This one is going to be game over. So game over. And actually, we will call this one game over, we'll call it game win, because those are two separate conditions. So game win. And I'll name that widget. Game win widget. There we go. Go ahead and open that up. And then in here, I just want to throw to the screen. Let's do a text. Set that somewhere in there. And I will, under anchors, center that. Okay. It is kind of annoying with the anchor there, but it's okay. And my text is going to be level complete. Center that up. We can make the font bigger if I come down to font and then open that up. You can set your own font if you want to. You just have to load a font family. We'll make that 48. Level complete, nice and big. Alright, so now when I hit this, I want to cast that to the screen. So right down here in Blueprint, so level complete, we'll have this create a widget. So create widget. And then we need to know what widget we're going to create. That's going to be our game win. And then it has to go to the viewport. So I will add to viewport. There we go. Okay. Compile that. See if it works. Oh, let's start from here. There we go. Level complete. Boom. So now we have to go to the next level. You could have that load the level automatically, or you could have it to where you could click or exit or whatever. So we'll set it up so that we can, of course, quit the game and we can decide to go to the next level. You may also notice that the mouse is currently not enabled. So let's also enable the mouse. I'm going to go into here. I guess we can do that right after here. We'll do show the mouse. So to get the mouse, we actually need a reference to our character. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to do get player controller. Sorry, not a reference to the character, but we need the controller. And then from there, we need to set show mouse. We'll set that to true. So that'll allow the mouse pointer to appear on the screen. Ding, 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 ding. Ding. And then I have the mouse cursor. Right. So in this widget, we're going to add an option for next level or quit. So I'm going to add a button. Go ahead and drag that in. And I'll just center this up with here. Anchors, I'll anchor that to the middle. And then I'm going to add text to the button. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and, for the button here, I'll do next level button. And then for the text, I'll drag text onto the button. And with the text on the button, I will call this next level. And you're probably wondering, well, why did I put next level up here if I'm going to put it here? Well, this is the text that's going to be on the button. That's what you're going to. That's what's displayed. Whereas this button is actually named next level button. So when I'm programming it, I know which button to talk to. I kind of want the button. So for the style, we have normal, hovered, and pressed. So there's different ways of seeing if the button's doing what we want. So for normal, I guess we can just change the tint. If I hit the tint open, there is an RGB option, and I'm going to go ahead and do the A here. That's for alpha. I'll do that at like 25%, so it's not super dark. And then for the tint color, I kind of like it as a default gray. For hovered, I'm also going to do the tint 25. But I will change the color to maybe a darker gray. And then for the pressed, same thing, I'll adjust the tint color. But when I press it, I want a way of knowing that I pushed the button. I think I'm just going to do a simple yellow. I'm going to turn blue to 0, and that should give me red and green mixing here. It's going to give me yellow. But I don't want it to be that yellow, so I'm going to take it down just a little bit. Like maybe more of a white yellow. Okay. Compile it. Play from here. Dink, and there's my next level button. And if I hover, you can see it does respond to hover, and if I click, it does respond to clicking. Now you might notice there's some bit of a hang up with the button if you're directly on the text, and the text is actually interactable. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. And just to make sure, I'm going to select the text here. So over here on the left, I'm going to choose the text. I'm going to close up font. I'm going to come down to behavior. Visibility is set to visible, which is what you want. But if you hover your mouse over here, you can see it says default widget visibility. Visibility can interact with the cursor. So you might find that at certain positions of the mouse cursor, you're hitting the text and not the button, and that's kind of annoying. So I'm going to come in and just go down to hit test invisible. So what this does, if I hover my mouse over, is it says visible to the user, so the user will see it, but the cursor will ignore it. So it says the cursor hit test will never see the widget. So when I hover over, as far as the mouse is concerned, it only sees the button, it does not see the text. So that's handy. So we have next level text here. And then I'm going to just duplicate my button. So I'm going to go ahead and select the button, right click on it, and choose duplicate. That way I don't have to remake a whole thing. I'll just drag this down, kind of line it up here. I know it's freaking out, but it's okay. I'll select the, let me go ahead and name the new button. This is going to be quit. So quit button, quit button. And then for the text, I'm just going to have this, I'll scroll back up to my text. This will be, you can say quit or exit or whatever. So I'll say quit. Okay, so those will appear, but right now they don't do anything. So I'm going to go over to my graph here, and in my graph, to the left, I have my next level and my button. So for the button to work, we need to have some stuff. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to select next level. I'm going to come down to where it says on clicked. See that? The little green thing. So there's my on clicked for the button. I'll get one for the quit as well, because the quit's easier. So for quit, I'm just going to drag this off, and the function is called quit game. That one's easy peasy. And we can test that. Go ahead and get here. Dink. And then if I hit it, it exits the game. So that works. As far as going to the next level, though, that's a little trickier. So I'm going to drag this off. I'm going to go to Open Level. And we need to know what level we're going to open, but we haven't created a second level yet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Compile. I'm going to save all. And then I'm going to go up to File, New Level. I'm going to choose a default. And then I'll go ahead and hit Save as Current. So File, Save Current. This is going to be Level 2. Make sure we drop it in our Maps folder. Hit Save. So right now there's nothing in here, but we have a place to go. I'm going to go back to the widget. I'm going to type in for the level name, Level 2. Alright. Let's go back to Level 1. So Maps, Level 1. Yeah, we'll save it. It's fine. Alright, play. Actually, I'll just play from here. Play from here. So now if I do that, dink, I can hit next level, and it'll drop me into the next level, which is great, right? But there's nothing to kind of do here just yet. So from here, I'm going to call the video, and in the next one, we're going to work on
a way to die, so when we fall off the map, we'll kind of do the same thing, and it'll just take us to an exit, or we can restart the level, and we'll also improve on the logic for our button setup. Okay, so go ahead and save your work, and I will see you in the next video.